Hi everyone, Naka Onilifor here to make the invisible visible here in my car, because if I don't do this video now, it will not get done. But I just wanted to come on here and mention that I would like to do a video very soon about disposability politics and the black male gaze. And I've just been thinking, and I just want to run some things by you all here, and hopefully it encourages you to come back. So sometimes I don't really know where to start, but I'm going to start with a group of women who you all may know, celebrity women, who I really don't follow, and I'm not really interested in celebrity culture that much. However, it's been brought to my attention, as it may have been brought to your attention as well, that your God-given traits that your African ancestors gave you, possibly, they have decided to just remove like it is a costume. And I just want to explore that, because as a black woman, and particularly as a black woman in a curvier body type, it doesn't sit right with me. And so, to appease the black male gaze, they chose to change their bodies in a way. And then when it no longer, I guess, is suitable for them, they decide to then remove or, reduce certain parts of, themselves. And it just, I feel some type of way about that. So I want to explore that. And if any of you are interested in exploring that with me, please subscribe, or just stay tuned. And so there's a few ways that I want to sort of unpack the black male gaze. And my hope is that I can get your feedback. I'm also in my own life and in my own internally trying to unpack the black male gaze and what it has done to me, and then, so in this way, going beyond the physical, but just the validation sometimes that we seek from black men. Now, even though I'm saying black men, obviously putting an emphasis right now on the black part, they are still men. And we as women still live in a male-dominated society. And so as black women, there's a certain, we don't hold the same position that black men obviously hold, because they are men, and we all know that patriarchy is real. And so in my book, I talk about this gaze and how I spent a lot of time trying to seek validation, and then this goes back to, my father, I guess losing my father at a young age, but then also it goes back to certain relationships, and then this feeling of abandonment, and spending a lot of time trying to seek validation from specifically black men. I cannot speak, I can probably speak generally to the white gaze or the white male gaze, but my concern and what is more so relevant to me is the black male gaze. And I don't think that there's actually enough out there, either written or a lot of content about this. You do hear about the male gaze, and it's talked about in a certain way. It's talked about through the lens of film, and all that is very real, right? But what about how this shows up in our own personal everyday lives? And for women who can afford to, appease the male gaze because they have the money to, and then decide that, no, I don't want to appease them anymore. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, remove certain parts. But for the average everyday black woman, we are just who we are, and we just show up as we are, And so again, I'm not coming on here as an expert, but hopefully a thought partner, and wanting to really delve into this subject, because I think it's one that we don't talk about enough, and probably because it's very kind of messy. It's not a neat subject, but it is one that, I want to highlight. It's important. I'm kind of like, I'm a self-proclaimed queen of sort of redefining terms. And so again, disposability politics, when you hear that term, a lot of times it's in reference to something else, something other than what I'm speaking about. So I know when I Googled it, I read something about, what do you call that? during COVID, the essential workers and the disposability of essential workers. So this term is actually not used very often, and when it is used, it may not be used in this context, but I like to sort of take terms and make it my own. And so, if we just look at disposability, think about all the things that we dispose of. Think about hair, our hair, like weave and lashes, and I'm talking about as women. Makeup, you take makeup on and off. I'm sorry, it's actually raining, so just 1 second. Makeup is another thing that you can take on and you can put on, and take off. Again, body parts, apparently, you can go and get things added and removed, and so there's so much when it comes to women that we are constantly disposing of. And I guess I didn't mention veneers. There's that. There's jewelry. There's, I can go on and on and on. But, my interest is what's underneath all of that. It's obviously I have on jewelry right now. I have on a headband. I have, my hair in a certain way. So we all participate, right, in sort of adding to ourselves in the way that we feel comfortable. But what is underneath that? What is our core? And that is my interest. And looking at, again, why I highlight those celebrity women is because of the cultural appropriation of it all. That is why I highlight that. I think on some level, we're all, again, adding to ourselves and then removing. But I feel like it takes it to another level when you have a culture or a group of women who decide to go as far as taking traits that typically apply to one ethnic group, adding those traits to themselves and then deciding that they want to then take those away. And the reality is, to know as a Black woman, you don't have that privilege, to do that. And nor would you, even if you had that privilege, would you even want to. And so I think it's important that we really focus on our core. Who are we at the core? It's not about appeasing a gaze. I know it's very difficult to not engage in, this interest to constantly appease someone else's gaze. Particularly in this case, I'm talking about the Black male gaze. It's a challenge to not do that. And I don't have the solutions on how not to. But what I will leave you with is I'm going to read an excerpt by an author, Roxane Gay, in a minute here, that really did capture what I'm hoping to do on this channel and through my book and through the work that I hope to do with women. Hopefully I'll do some consulting and some coaching and things like that, and perhaps some courses and seminars in the future. But I'm going to leave you with a quote that I'm going to read by Roxane Gay. And this quote comes from an interview that she did that I actually found on YouTube. So often everything caters to the male gaze, and I just am not interested in that as a writer. I want to write stories where women are centered, even if their stories exist in part because of something that has happened with a man. I just really am interested in the stories of women and the ways in which, even when we don't get along, I think there's an understanding between women. Like, yes, we know similar things and our bodies know similar experiences, and that common ground means something, and I love exploring that. So on that note, I'm going to leave you, and hopefully you'll hear more from me on this subject. Stay tuned for more.